made a few changes to the camera setup and audio levels. Hopefully this is better. So, take 5. Let's jump right in, shall we? Now, I started out having done no preparation like 10 minutes ago. But I eventually found out that the Part 2 page of Radiometric Dating 101 has a lot of repetition early on. Stuff we covered in Part 1, the hourglass clock, an analogy. They just repeat the entire fucking thing. And scroll down to Assumption 1, conditions at time 0. Now, I had to start over last time because this motherfucker pissed me off just so much. Observe. No geologists were present when most rocks formed. When any rocks formed, geologists were not present because it's really hard to stand in fucking lava. Especially if it's lava from billions of years ago. I mean, you'd be dead. So they cannot test whether the original rocks already contained daughter isotopes alongside their parent radioisotopes. For example, with regard to the volcanic lavas that erupted, flowed, and cooled to form rocks in the unobserved past, evolutionary geologists... Evolution has to do with biology, you retard! Simply assume that none of the daughter argon-40 atoms was in the lava rocks. That's bullshit. Now, I'm no expert, but I did look it up in the previous take, and argon-40, most of it in Earth's atmosphere, is produced by the decay of, plutonium-40? Let me just check really quickly. Potassium-40, right, because potassium-40 is another one that this guy didn't mention. However, argon-40 is the most common on Earth because there was potassium-40, which decayed, but in the universe, argon-36 is far more common. Like, the most common isotope. So they have to say, this liar, this doctor of non-evolutionary geology, has to say that scientists just assume that none of it was in the lava rocks. But no, they don't. I mean, first off, you can look in the universe and find out that argon-36 is more common. You can look at how argon-40 is produced, radioactive decay of potassium-40, and then you can come to the obvious conclusion that argon-40 is produced by the decay of potassium-40. Or you can be like this guy and find a body and go like, this body must have spontaneously poofed into existence last week with stab wounds in it. Because this is just more historical versus observational science bullshit. Forensics. I mean, come on, forensics. No, geologists, not evolutionary geologists, but geologists, probably don't assume that no argon-40 was present in lava rocks at the time. But as I said in the previous video, I'm pretty sure I covered this. It would be an amazing coincidence for argon-40 to be produced by the non-radioactive decay of potassium-40, produced completely naturally when argon-36 is more common in the atmosphere, and then coincidentally stick to potassium-40 and then cool into a rock and then completely falsify all the data. Especially when the dates can be cross-confirmed. Is he saying that the rocks had daughter argon-40 that was contaminant from just the atmosphere, and that other thing, that lead decayed from uranium, that also just coincidentally collected there? And they don't assume that there was none. They can assume that there was some, that, yeah, okay, sure, maybe a little bit, but then you cross-confirm with other dates and you find out, no, maybe the body didn't spontaneously appear last week. Look, here's his fucking driver's license and he's in our system. It was a person, not a body that just poofed out of nothing. The way this guy believes the entirety of the universe was made, because his God is not a liar, and therefore does not try to deceive people, except if you are deceived, God has deceived you. For the other radioactive clocks, it is assumed that by analyzing multiple samples of a rock body or unit, today it is possible to determine how much of the daughter isotopes, lead, strontium, or neodymium, or argon, or all the other ones, look them up, Wikipedia, radiometric dating, it lists every single fucking kind, were present when the rock formed via the so-called isochron technique, which is still based on unproven assumptions 2 and 3. Well, shit. How convenient. A technique that works and produces reliable results is based on unproven assumptions that he hasn't addressed yet. That his first assumption must be right. His other assumptions say so. Oh, this is going to be fun. I just glanced at the next paragraph and I noticed that there are notations. This is going to be interesting. Yet lava flows that have occurred in the present have been tested soon after they erupted, and they invariably contained much more argon-40 than expected. Click annotation 1. Footnotes 1. A. Snelling, Geochemical Processes in the Mantle and Crust in Radioisotopes and the Age of the Earth, a Young Earth Creationist Research Initiative, published by the Institute for Creation Research, St. Joseph and Missouri, Creation Research Society. A. Snelling. A. Snelling. Where have I heard that name before? A. Snelling. Could it possibly be Dr. Andrew A. Snelling who wrote this fucking article? It must be right. He says so. This kind of shit pisses me off. I can't continue right now because he's using his own book published for his own propaganda mill as proof of his other propaganda mill's article. For fuck's sake. I'm not a murderer, said the murderer. I'm telling you I didn't kill the person, even if I did. Oh boy. For example, continuing now, when a sample of the lava in the Mount St. Helens crater that had been observed to form and cool in 1986, Figure 1, was analyzed in 1996, it contained so much argon-40 that it had calculated age of 350,000 years! Exclamation mark annotation 2. S.A. Austin, excess argon within mineral concentrates of the new dacite lava dome at Mount St. Helens volcano. Creation ex nihilo technical journal. Well, shit. Another creationist fucking website. Or journal, or whatever the fuck it is. What a fucking surprise. Let's just Mount St. Helens argon date. There, potassium argon dating. Young Earth Creationist dating of a Mount St. Helens dacite. The failure of Austin and Swenson to recognize obviously ancient minerals. Well, that's a good start. I'm not going to go through the entire thing. You can Google it yourself. But yeah, I've heard the Mount St. Helens thing before, and it's bullshit. Essentially. But don't take my word for it. I'm not Andrew Snelling. It's not bullshit because I say so. Look it up. Analyze the claims. Find the information for yourself. Read it. It might be interesting to you, it might not. It's not interesting to me. But I'm pretty sure that if you date something and your date is wrong because you're looking at it, you're probably gonna, spot the mistake you made yourself just then. Similarly, Lava flows on the sides of Mount Ngauruhoe, New Zealand. I probably pronounced Ngauruhoe incorrectly, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Known to be less than 50 years old, yielded ages of up to 3.5 million years. Notation 3. A. Snelling, the cause of anomalous potassium-argon ages for recent andesite flows at Mount Ngauruhoe, New Zealand, and the implications for potassium-argon dating in Proceedings of the Fourth International Conference on Creationism, published in the Pittsburgh Creation Science Fellowship. For fuck's sake, Snelling. Using yourself as a source is not very good fucking research, especially if you're publishing for creationist websites which assert as fact stuff that is not evidently true. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, lava flows get dated weirdly. I know that it happens. I know that if you aren't careful with the selection of your material, I think it has to do with composite material in lava flows, because not necessarily all the rock melts in lava. You know, you could get a chunk of older rock from the volcano pushed up in the lava. It congeals, it cools down, and then you take that old chunk of rock that was blasted by the volcano, and there you go. You know, just one fucking explanation off the top of my head, and it already makes more sense than everything in science is wrong because you haven't seen a body get murdered, therefore it was placed there magically by God last Thursday. It doesn't take much thought to figure out how this guy is a lying sack of shit. But apparently even he hasn't done that much thinking, and he's a fucking PhD. I haven't actually looked if his PhD is legit. It might be, for all I know, but then he says evolutionary geologist, so I start to question these assertions. So it is logical to conclude that if recent lava flows of known age yield incorrect old potassium-argon ages due to the extra argon-40 that they inherited from the erupting volcanoes, so he admits the sample's contaminated, and then he complains that the dates are wrong. Then ancient lava flows of unknown ages could likewise have inherited extra argon. No, because in the past there would have been less argon-40 because the potassium-40 wouldn't have decayed as much. Yet, you idiot. There are similar problems with the other hold on. He admits that there's fucking contamination. And then he says ancient lava flows would have ages that likewise were contaminated in exactly the same way, in the same amounts, because we believe the Earth is 6,000 years old and we're fucking stupid. No. The rock you find, you date that fucking rock, right? If that rock has more argon-40 because it's older, you date that rock, not the entirety of the fucking planet based off that one rock near a volcano. You date the fucking rock. If you find one rock next to a volcano and it has some date, and everything else has a different date, you know the rock is a contaminant, and this guy admits that there's fucking contamination from inheriting from the erupting volcanoes. But then he says, in the past, the contamination just fucking, it contaminated everything. What the fuck is wrong with this idiot? Oh, God, fucking... I was not expecting this today. I was not expecting something this bad today. Holy fucking shit. Okay. Setting aside the fact that he just admitted he's using dates with known contamination, let's move on. There are similar problems with the other radioactive scare quotes around the word clocks again. For example, considering the dating of the Grand Canyon's basalts, rocks formed by lava cooling at the Earth's surface. He explained that in part 1. Why the fuck is he repeating himself? We find places on the North Rim where volcanoes erupted after the Grand Canyon was formed, sending lavas cascading over the walls and down into the canyon. Okay. Do you think... Sorry. Do you think evolutionary geologists are all fucking retards? They can't tell volcanic rock from, non-volcanic rock? What the fuck is this guy even saying anymore? Obviously, these eruptions took place very recently. Well, apparently not obviously to experts in the fucking field who don't call themselves evolutionary geologists, because there's no fucking thing! After the canyon's layers were deposited, figure 3, these basalts yield ages of up to 1 million years based on the amounts of potassium and argon isotopes in the rocks. Okay. So the canyon is 6,000 years old? Because volcanoes deposited lava down the side of the canyon 1 million years ago? What the fuck is he even talking about anymore? I know I just said that like a few minutes ago, but what the fuck is this guy smoking? I think the volcano fumes has gotten to what little brain he had left after religion that was through with it. But when we date the rocks, continuing, using the rubidium and strontium isotopes, we get an age of 1.143 billion years. Now, I'm pretty sure that claim is bullshit. I also know that different dating methods give you different results, like carbon dating, right? You don't get results that are accurate after anything like 90,000 years. Different dating methods have a maximum limit on how accurate they are. I mean, even carbon dating, you don't usually go past 60, 45,000 years. It's just the decay is so quick, I guess, that after a certain amount of time, it's too unreliable. So maybe the date of 1.143 billion years is accurate. I don't know. What I would do, if I were you, viewer, is look up rubidium strontium dating, or rubidium dating, strontium dating. I don't know if those are related because I don't know this topic like a fucking evolutionary geologist. But look up how accurate rubidium and strontium dating goes, and if 1.143 billion years is past the maximum age, this claim is completely bullshit. This is the same age that we get for the basalt layers deep below the walls of the eastern Grand Canyon. Annotation number 4. Click. A. Snelling. Another thing produced in the ICR, the CRS, and Green Forest, Arkansas Master Books. In a book called Radioisotope Dating Case Studies in Thousands, Not Billions. As in thousands of years, not billions of years, because it's a fucking creationist book again. Oh, fuck, this guy's dishonesty is just pissing me off so much. How could both lavas, one at the top and one at the bottom of the canyon, be the same age based on the apparent and daughter isotopes? He's clearly never seen how lava works. Going from the core of the earth, which is not filled with water, and then pushing up to the surface from pressure, and then leaking everywhere, for fuck's sake. Do a fucking science experiment with your kids, you fucking moron. Baking soda and vinegar, or whatever the fuck the volcano is. I never actually did that myself. I always wanted to. I should do that. I could do that. I'm an adult. Boy. How could both lavas be the same age based on these parent and daughter isotopes? One solution is that both the recent and early lava flows inherited the same rubidium-strontium chemistry, not age, from the same source deep in the Earth's upper mantle. This source already had both rubidium and strontium. I'm going to give him that. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just going to give him that. The fact that he gets an age of 1.143 billion years already proves his young Earth creationist bullshit wrong, so fuck him. To make matters even worse for the claimed reliability of these radiometric dating methods, these same basalts that flowed from the top of the canyon yield a samarium neodymium, samarium now? Age of about 916 million years, and a uranium lead age of about 2.6 billion years. Again, I can... Oh, sorry. Notations 5 and 6. Same reference as 4, meaning still Andrew Snelling, and still S.A. Austin in a book published by the Institute for Creation Research in 1994. They are always so up to date with their research, aren't they? You know, they just publish a book and then refer to it. But again, I can give him that those were the results. 1.1 billion, 900 million, you're like 200 million years off. And, you know, there's a margin of error in radiometric dating because scientists don't assert as fact that everything they know is true, unlike these motherfuckers. 200 million years off for two different dating methods that have different calculations involved? Sounds good to me. And uranium lead age about 2.6 billion years? I'd just question once again if maybe uranium lead, after a certain amount, like say 1 billion years, ceases to be accurate, and therefore you get a wildly inaccurate result like 2.6 billion years because you use the wrong fucking dating method. I'm just saying. I mean, it's just an idea that I have in my stupid atheist head where evolutionary geology, you know, where rocks have to fuck each other and make little rock babies because apparently that's fucking evolutionary geology. He's really pissing me off in this one. Assumption number 2. No contamination. I already covered the fucking idea that there might be contamination. Even he said there was contamination. And geologists, real ones, know there can be contamination. Which is why there's a fucking margin of fucking error. Fuck you, assumption number 2, you're wrong. And assumption number 3 is constant decay rate. Now, I'm no expert, but the reason why you have to assume a constant decay rate is because the entirety of the observable universe relies on a constant decay rate. If there is not a constant decay rate for radioactive isotopes, guess what? The universe ceases to make any fucking sense. There's so much that relies on it. Even just the world time clock. I think I mentioned that one in the first part too. This is why I like to do all my videos in one go. But the world time clock, the cesium clocks, the mercury clocks. These things rely on a constant rate of decay. If that's wrong, everything you know is wrong. But he just sets fire to it because he's happy to sit in his little fortress of ignorance and say, well, I believe this, that can't be right, that's incorrect, this is true. When all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a fucking nail. And this guy's head is a hammer. Reality is not nails. It's nails, it's screws, it's splints, it's all kinds of fucking fastening methods. But all he has is a hammer, so everything has to be a nail. Screw, bam, 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 bam. Let's just make it fit. The decay rates are testable, they're measurable, and they remain constant. To assume that they were not constant in the past, you have to make shit up, basically. And when you make that shit up, you set fire to everything else you know. You have to start from nothing, which is what this guy knows. Physicists have carefully measured the radioactive decay rates of parent radioisotopes, thank you, in laboratories over the last 100 years or so, and have found them to be essentially constant within the measurement error margins. Oh, so he admits there's error margins. He admits that as assumption 2, there might be contamination. He fucking admits it. How fucking convenient that in his third assumption, he invalidates his first and second ones. Furthermore, they have not been able to significantly change these decay rates by heat, pressure, or electrical and magnetic fields. Correction, they have not been able to change these decay rates, period. Venom Fang X, back in the day, remember that jackass? Yeah, he said they could, but they can't. Because you can't. Because you fucking can't. The only way you can change the decay rate is if you blast, I don't know, uranium with some other isotope or maybe an explosive charge, and then you get a fucking nuclear bomb. So, geologists have assumed these radioactive decay rates have been constant for billions of years. Because you have to, because otherwise you set fire to the house because you don't know how to change the fucking carpet. However, this is an enormous extrapolation of 7 orders of magnitude back through immense spans of unobserved time without any concrete proof that such an extrapolation is credible. Says the guy who believes a magic man did it with magic and then killed himself in his own son's person to forgive you for shit your ancestors did. What is wrong with this jackass? Come on. Okay, let's go back through that sentence and just go piece by piece. I like to do that kind of thing in comments, but let's try it in verbal form. However, this is an enormous extrapolation. The size of the extrapolation doesn't matter if it fits, of 7 orders of magnitude. Again, that's just making an appeal to ignorance, I think. Or is it an argument from incredulity? Right. An argument from, it's so big, it can't possibly be. It's an enormous extrapolation of 7 orders of magnitude. So what? What does that even mean, orders of magnitude? 7 numbers? Is it because it's millions? What? Back through immense spans of unobserved time, forensic science, you fucking idiot. There's no such thing as historical science. Shut the fuck up. Without any concrete proof except literally concrete and other rock-based materials, like fucking rocks, that such extrapolation is credible, except for the fact that you can cross-confirm the dates using different methods and, margins of errors and observed reality and actual laboratory testing, which this guy fucking admitted. So, not bad. Every single part of that sentence was wrong, except the word however. Nevertheless, geologists insist the radioactive decay rates have always been constant because it makes these radioactive clocks work. No, because if the decay rates change, the universe changes completely, utterly, incomprehensibly so. And stuff that relies on radioactive decay ceases to function. I often make this analogy where if you reject the scientific method, you have to admit that computers don't work. Now, I know, I'm using a computer right now, I'm looking into a camera that's plugged into my computer, and the computer apparently works, right? But no, it doesn't. If you have to set fire to science in order to defend your religious bullshit, you are saying that the computer you're using to write out that little comment, or watch the videos which tell you the same thing, you're saying those computers work by pure luck. Some idiot in some factory somewhere just puts a bunch of little cables and wires and circuits on a fucking piece of plastic, and then they just shove that thing into a metal box, and they plug more wires in it, and they power it, and just by pure luck it works. This is exactly what he's doing here. He's saying, radioactive decays don't work, so science is wrong somehow, because blah, blah, blah. The Bible. Except computers work. Except the clocks work. You can confirm the dates using different methods. That alone tells you that it works. I mean, eyewitness accounts are not reliable. But if you get two people and they tell you pretty much the same story with all the details, pretty much the same, maybe one of them gets the first four letters of the license plate and the other one gets the four in the middle, and the ones that overlap actually match, the color of the car is the same and all that stuff. Yeah, maybe one thought it was a Ford, the other one thought it was a Chevy. I don't know if Ford and Chevy's the same company. I don't know cars. Maybe they get the make and model wrong. They get the color right. They get the general shape of the car right. They get some of the license plate right. Basically, the two different accounts match up. Then you know that there's at least probably some kernel of truth to that, right? Compare that to the Bible, where, just to use the first example off the top of my head, the empty tomb. First off, they totally have the empty tomb. They just don't know where it is, and they know it was empty, but they don't know where it is, and they can't go there and check if it's empty. Also, an empty tomb it means that there was a body in it, but it got up and walked out, not that there was never a body inside or that it was removed. Just the empty tomb accounts. One woman went, and it was a pack of women, and sometimes there was an angel, sometimes there wasn't. The stories are completely fucking different. What matters is there's an empty tomb, we don't know where it is, and there's no body in it, so we totally know it's the tomb of Jesus, even though it's not written on it. That type of account, where every detail contradicts the other details, especially one that says, and they told nobody what they saw, which begs the question of how the fuck do you know? That kind of account, incoherent, inconsistent, therefore false. But if a red truck ran a red light and hit a green car, and everybody says one of those, the things with the tailgate ran a light, I think it was yellow, but they tried to go through it faster and they hit a green car. Well, you start to think that maybe, just maybe, that story is correct because the details do match up, which is how the radioactive clocks work. The details do match up. They give you a result that's consistent within a margin of error because there's a margin of error, because scientists are not fucking religious morons who assert as fact things that they don't know to be true. But hey, I spent too much time on those two fucking sentences. Let's keep going, shall we? New evidence, however, there's no new evidence, has recently been discovered, no one fucking hasn't, that can only be explained by the radioactive decay rates not having been constant in the past. I bet he means the Bible. Annotation number 9. L. Vardaman, A. Snelling, and E. Chaffin, Radioisotopes and the Age of the Earth, Results of a Young Earth Creationist Research Initiative. That tells you everything you need to know right there. He's quoting his own propaganda as proof of his further propaganda. Again, not convincing. But you know how he mentioned the Bible as his new evidence? It's a creationist research initiative. It's proving the Bible is true by saying it is and then lying about science. It's the Bible. The new evidence is the fucking Bible. For example, the radioactive decay of uranium in tiny crystals in a New Mexico granite yields a uranium-lead age of 1.5 billion years. Yet the same uranium decay also produced abundant helium, but only 6,000 years worth of that helium was found to have leaked out of the tiny crystals. No annotation there. Funny. There's actually no more annotations at all. 9 was the last one. And he just says there was only 6,000 years worth. Which is funny because the Earth is not 6,000 years old. They believe it's 6,000 to 10,000 years old. Also, how the fuck do you measure helium when helium is a gas so light it escapes the Earth's atmosphere? There was a story a few years ago, I don't know how accurate it was, but the world is running out of helium because it keeps escaping into space. Just gone. So how the fuck is he measuring only 6,000 years of something that he can't measure properly because it's no longer on the fucking planet? I mean, also, uranium-lead dating, that's how Claire Patterson dated the age of the Earth. I'm just saying, if you're going to lie, pick something more obscure where people with a brain can't look it up and easily find out. Notice I didn't even look up anything. I just know helium escapes the fucking atmosphere because it's such a light gas. It pushes its way completely out of the oxygen-nitrogen mix that we have and just escapes into space. Pick something that an average Joe doesn't know off the top of his head, maybe. This means that the uranium must have decayed very rapidly over the same 6,000 years. No, it doesn't. The helium was leaking out of the atmosphere of Earth because it's too late and it's gone and you can no longer measure it. You don't know how much helium there was. The rate of uranium decay must have been at least 250,000 times faster than today's measured rate. Why? Because run, calc, enter, standard calculator. Let's see. 14,000 million. 14 billion divided by 6,000 years. 2,300,000. Interesting. Creationist math is often known to be off by factors of a lot. 250,000 is not great, but I wouldn't be surprised if this 2.3 million he just read as 250,000. The numbers are similar, there's a bunch of numbers next to it, it's close enough. But the way I actually think he got to this result, and there's no notation except thousands, not billions, the thing he mentioned in one of the other notations, again, by Don DeYoung's books for the Green Forest, Arkansas. Why not put in the notation? That's just lazy. You already use notations, why not just add number 10? But I would guess, just as a guess, he looked at how much helium there is today and said, the Earth is 6,000 years old, and says, this is the decay rate, it has to be this much faster, that's the number. Because we have seen that he's going from his conclusion. The Bible is true, how do we prove it? Not, this is reality, how do we find out? 250,000 times faster than today's measured rate. How does he know that? Because he goes from the Bible, it's 6,000 years old, and therefore this is how fast it has to go, and he says there's how fast it has to go, proving the Earth is 6,000 years old. They're always working backwards. So I did the calculation, 14 billion years divided by 6,000 years, how much faster it has to be, and I got 2.3 million. He says 250,000. Just nudge one number sideways and you get almost the same number. Creationists are known to be shit at math. Just look at why do people laugh at creationists? Factors of thousands and millions of times off. Nothing new there. But I think I've driven that one into the ground. Let's keep going. We're almost done. We're almost fucking done. The assumptions on which the radioactive dating is based are not only unprovable, they're testable though, but plagued with problems. No, they're not. They're really not. As this article has illustrated, lied about, rocks have inherited parent and daughter isotopes from their sources, which scientists recognize, which is why there's a margin of error. Or they may have been contaminated when they move through other rock to their current locations, which geologists are not retarded, and they know how to tell when a rock is part of a lava flow or when it's, transported material. I think that's the term for it. When lava comes out of a volcano, explodes, and there's chunks of rock brought into the lava and then buried, and then the lava cools. I think the term for that is transported material. Geologists aren't retard, they can tell that. Or inflowing water may have mixed isotopes into the rocks. Sure, because rocks are very well known for their permeability. You just put a rock in water, you take it out, and the whole thing is soaked. It's like 10 times heavier now. Rocks are sponges, basically. I'm being facetious. yes, water can flow into the ground and carry some isotopes, and that's why you have margins of error, basically. The way he's making it sound, rocks are sponges. That's what he's trying to say here. Water just carries isotopes everywhere, and everything contaminates everything, and there's no way of understanding anything, but he uses a computer. Well, probably a typewriter. I mean, this guy's an idiot. Still. So if these clocks are based on faulty assumptions and unreliable results, and yield unreliable results, they don't. Then scientists should not trust or promote the claimed radioactive ages of countless. They're not countless. There's like literally 14,000 million years. It's 14 billion. Especially since they contradict the true history of the universe as recorded in God's word. There you fucking go. Ow. Fuck, that hurt. That stings like shit. Ow. I apologize for headphone users. God damn, I've already been punished. Fuck. Oh. But right there, he fucking admits it. The Bible is true, therefore science must be wrong if it says otherwise. He's fucking admitting it right there. I love being right. I actually like being proven wrong because it means I learned something. But when I'm faced with a lying sack of shit like this, I love being proven right because you can see these motherfuckers coming. A mile away, or, I'm sorry, centimeters away, because miles, centimeters, it's creationist math, it's the same thing.